All right, perhaps against my better judgment, in honor of Valentine's Day, we're doing a hotness tier list so we can answer the all-important question of which Enneagram type is getting the most action. I'm probably going to regret this, but fuck it, we ball. First things first, though, this is completely objective and unbiased, so there's no none of my own opinions in here. We're going solely off of universal sex appeal, which types attract the most people. So with that being said, let's get into it. Coming in at the bottom of S tier or F tier, we've got social self-pres. Now, this might ruffle some feathers, but I think it's objectively true. I think female SOSPs do a sort of like overly elegant Ophelia drowning, less is more sexual display that's so subtle that it's actually just non-existent, whereas male and non-binary SOSPs for some reason unanimously seem to believe that the height of sex appeal is making themselves act and look like rejected anime villains. Also, SOSPs are responsible for the existence of FetLife, and that alone just cannot be forgiven, to be honest. Anytime I see an SOSP on a dating app, and they're usually pretty easy to spot, the vibe is like, no, dude, I don't want to join your polycule and play D&D every weekend with you and the 8 other ugliest people in a 10-mile radius. All right, moving on to D tier, we've got our neck beards, our 5s at the bottom of D tier. I'll say this. 5s are generally utterly repellent, but I do think everyone has one 5, like one specific 5, where they're like, God damn it, that's actually working on me. But if you do want to go that route and date the 1-5, prepare yourself for a lifetime of them talking at you about their single incredibly niche interests. So just keep that in mind. Like that is the rest of your life that you're signing up for. Coming in at the top of D tier, we've got 1s. I think 1s have a slightly broader universal appeal than 5s, but emphasis on slightly. I think people who are into 1s tend to be like really into them, but everyone else is like, yeah, you can have them. I will say that 1s are probably absolute freaks in the sheets, to be fair, but if you're not showing up as that like 99% of the time, I can't justify you being a higher tier. All right, for C tier, we've got 2s. And here's the thing, 2s were hard to place because my first thought was like A or S tier. Obviously, the mommy energy is just unreal. However, then I remembered the existence of male 2s for the extreme pedo uncle vibes. So I think you got to meet in the middle and put them in C tier. That's really the only logical, objective spot to put them in. 6s are also kind of similarly split along gender lines, but I think it's a little bit more complicated for 2s. I feel like you can like split it along wings a little bit. Like for 6-wing 7s, like male 6-wing 7s are like the hot skater boy who leaves you on red, whereas female 6-wing 7s, like 80% of them have like frumpy English major energy. But then for 6-wing 5s, it's flipped. Like male 6-wing 5s have like total like Reddit incel vibes, whereas female 6-wing 5s are like the like goth leather clad hot assassin in a 90s movie. So it just like really depends. Also, I guess like non-binary 6-wing 5s can kind of go either way, or 6s in general, excuse me. 6-wing 7s probably err more towards the hot end of the spectrum, whereas 6-wing 5s, they're firmly in the Reddit incel territory as well. Although maybe it's more like Tumblr themcel, I don't know. So yeah, in true 6 fashion, they're split on so many extremes, but end up becoming utterly mediocre as a result. For a type with no gender split, we're going to put 8s in C tier as well. With 8s, you're just getting the exact same thing, regardless of gender or sex or whatever. And I think that people who are into it are into it, and people who aren't. Probably a bit more of a universal appeal than ones, but overall, I can't justify placing them higher than C tier, certainly. This might surprise some people, but for the top of C tier, I'm actually putting self-pres social, and look, I enjoy shitting on self-pres socials as much as anyone else, but unfortunately they can be pretty fucking hot at times. There's sort of that, they got that like rugged physicality, just like extreme like body focus. Your gym crush is probably self-pres social. They obviously can be and are bad at sex a lot of the time, but it really depends. And bad sex with an SPSO is either it's like them like skipping foreplay and just like flopping around on you, or just going like full starfish underneath you, which like yeah, while that's bad, I don't think it's as offensively bad as bad sex with an SOSP. Like I don't know, at least they're not like asking you to like role play their favorite Steven Universe character for you or something. Moving up to B tier, we've got social sexual. I think it's fair to say that social sexual is probably like the least hot of the like instinct stackings that actually do have the sexual instinct in their stackings. Maybe that's a hot take, but I think they're more like they just go so all in on being like the human connection kind of romance stacking, that the act of sex itself can actually take kind of a back seat to like the mating dance aspect of it. Like they're so identified with like just the mating dance specifically. Um, yeah, moving on. If this were a personality tier list, fours would be down in F tier with the SPSOs, but today we're being shallow and vapid, which ironically for a type that prides itself on its extreme depth, actually works to the benefit of fours. um, Threes are also topping out B tier. I'd probably put them higher personally, but I've already like blown threes enough with these tier lists. Um, Also, while they are objectively, I'd say they tend to be like good looking people and like put a lot of effort into their appearance and beauty and aesthetics and all that. Fours try way too hard, which I think is like off putting to most people. Not me though, pick me. But most people want a down to earth kind of girl boy person next door vibes, not someone who acts like they're like performing for a camera or taking like 8 billion Instagram selfies a day. So yeah, I think B tier is for the objective vote probably good for threes. Um, Moving into A tier, we've got our sevens. Sevens have a weirdly universal appeal for being a hexad type. I feel like everyone can probably find a dozen sevens or into whatever like weird niche fetish they have. Um, and I will say they do get kind of like degenerate and disgusting after a while, but I feel like all the hottest people do, let's be real. Um, Also in A tier, we've got both of our sexual doms. I think they're like kind of interchangeable, to be completely honest. They have their pros and cons, which I'll go into, but I wouldn't put one as higher than the other. The sexual instinct in the dominant position is kind of niche. It's kind of interesting because it's like attracting and repelling by design, so it's not going to have as broad of a tier as something would warrant A tier. However, what I will say, is they do tend to wield a disproportionate impact on like collective notions of attraction, kind of like by their like sex symbol status that a lot of people who are sexual dominant tend to attain, which I think warrants putting them in A tier. Sexual social is usually going to have a higher level of collective influence because it's like contra, but I think sexual self-pres can attain that too, and it's probably actually a bit better at like sex itself because it has like self-pres, so like the body. But yeah, I'd say they're still like interchangeable. SPSX, I think, I don't know, I mean, just like in terms of universal appeal, they have like a weird grip on like collective attraction is something that I've noticed. Sexual middle is like a more universal appeal than like sexual dominant, which tends to be like a lot more specific, I think. But unlike SOSX, they're more like singularly self-objectifying because they're social blind. I don't know. I don't really have anything funny to say, so we're just moving on. Um, This is kind of like, it's almost like a reluctant S tier for this one, but I do think the existence of 9-wing 8s alone like more than validates this. We've got our thick queens and our dreamy hunks. But I do think people like lose their shit over 9-wing 1s as well, just like the general public. You got your like uwu Stockholms. Um, Also your like soft withdrawn artist types, your witchy types. Like it's so many different like archetypes that people are attracted to. So yeah, now 9s can finally stand out among everybody else. It's their time to shine, but of course that is just in the context of them being passive sex objects for all the other types to simp over. All right, thank you. That's my tier list. Thanks for watching. Yeah, please don't cancel me.